Okay, so welcome everyone to Season 2, Episode 8, Real Talk, Real Woman with Real Estate. All right, so we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about what we're seeing working. And this segment is sponsored by Vault. Okay, so Maleeka, you want to talk about what's working for you lately?
Sure. So I would say what's working for me is just setting my time and enjoying my day pretty much. So every day I get up and, I get to put my kids on the bus and get them dressed, which I was not previously able to do when I had a corporate job. And I am able to go to our construction sites, check in with our employees, check in on our projects, as well as still do traditional real estate and meet with clients, go on showings, run a lot of comps for investor clients as well as traditional clients. And I think that is what I was hoping for when I left my corporate job. And that seems to be working, although I'm really busy all the time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Dana, welcome back from the
Hello,
UK.
welcome. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So I'm Dana with Red One Agent Plus, and we're all happy that you guys are here today. We also just want to remind you guys to not to forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. And you can also check out our website at agentmentorshipplatform.com for more information. But yes, to get back for what's working now for me. It's consistency. So I have to be consistent in my daily routine, whether it's like calendar blocking, being present on social media, being present with the team, being present with new agents, being present for my clients, whether they're buyers or sellers or want to be buyers or sellers down the road. You just have to be consistent and be present. So that's what's working for me.
Great.
So, yeah.
All right, Gina.
Gina.
You.
Well, I'm actually going to talk about what's working for one of our AMP agents. So, Kelly Goodman is an AMP agent who was licensed August 30th, 2024. So just over a year ago, a little bit over a year.
I helped her. She had her first open house with me.
She had your open house. She actually met with her. She lives near me, which we live far from here, but she lived near me. I saw her on Facebook where she was already part of Red One, but she was looking for a team or a mentor or something to help her get jump started. And I think one of the things that helps people get jump started is to realize that they need help to get jump started.
Yes.
So many agents don't know what to do. It's like one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. And there's so much to be done when you become a new agent. And if you don't have a clear path in front of you, you will flounder and you will fail. And that's why the washout rate with new agents is so high. And so Kelly, she's cut a little different. And she came from the corporate world. She worked in at a university for 25 years. And so she had the good feelings that you get from achieving something regularly in her job. And she moved from Canada to Amanda, Ohio, very small community, very tight-knit community, difficult to break into. But because of her desire to want to achieve, I mean, she did have a period of time where she stayed home with her young daughter, and she appreciates that she was able to do that. She's in school now. But she needed to feel that desire to achieve, that sense of accomplishment. And that's one of the things that Kelly said drove her. But I talked to Kelly on the way up here. She was on her way to Westerville for a closing, the biggest closing to date of her career. And she has closed, after the end of this week, she will have closed 10 transactions in just 13 months as a real estate agent.
That is incredible.
And that is not normal. It's not normal at all.
She has the drive.
She has the drive. And I asked her, I was like, what is it that has driven you? What's kept you on track? And the first one was that sense of accomplishment that she was used to from her corporate job and she wanted to replicate somehow. The second one was the desire to improve her family's life. So, having been in a corporate job herself, her husband's in a very high pressure corporate job. But, those kind of jobs might be draining you and not really fulfilling you. And so she desired something for her family that was different than the rat race and the drag that these corporate things can be on her life and their family's life. And so she's hoping in the future that her husband will actually get licensed. And as a family, they can have the freedom that comes from being self-employed and running your own business. So Kelly has just really gone above and beyond. And she said her secret sauce is persistence, as mentioned by Dana. Like, she is closing someone this week that she's been in contact with since January. It was a lead from Zillow. And she said there were weeks that went by where this person didn't respond to her at all, but she didn't stop reaching out.
Yep.
And so that was like the thing that's really taken her to the next level in her real estate career. So
Yes.
that's working for Kelly.
That's awesome. I saw her last week at the Clippers game that Red One hosted, and she was glowing.
Yes, she
So-
is. And well, she said another thing that she's done that she thinks has helped her is she goes to everything. Every activity that Red won, every class that she can sign up for, the Columbus Board of Realtors,
Engagement. That's really
engagement. She's gone to MI Homes and DR Horton
Yep.
and all these different events that the new build guys have had. And she's had multiple new builds now. And so she just goes to everything. And I know sometimes that's not practical, but do the best you can to get out there and network, because you never know when the person you're going to meet could change your life in sending you business.
That's exactly
And
right.
she's pretty good at social media. I see all
She
of
is,
her
yes.
posts on social media
She's
too.
very consistent with
Yep.
it.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Sheila, how about you?
Well, so for me, I think a lot of it has been learning what to let go of. So, there are sometimes, like, when I look at what my goals were at the beginning of the year, somewhere along the line, I had to level set because it was turning into the same feeling I had with my corporate job, which was not very fulfilling. So I kind of pivoted and I said, okay, so what can I let go of? And so I definitely do the networking. I love networking. I love attending, all the different things, making connections, because, people were so important to me. And then I hired a VA, because there are some things where it's like, okay, the list of things to get done is just so long. And then it becomes almost paralyzing when the list is so long, as you can probably relate to.
I can relate
Yeah.
to that too.
So just hiring a VA to take care of some of those things, and it just has really let so much.
So
of
for those
this-
who are not familiar with that term, VA, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's a virtual assistant. I went through VA Hub, which is a company that's in the Philippines. So Papong is my VA. He does a great job. I do a daily huddle I do a morning huddle with him twice a week for 30 minutes. He does he calls my leads, like the cold leads, not ones that, actually know me. But he does lead follow-up. He does a lot of my social, although I'll do it. He's the one that's actually posting it, because that takes time.
Yeah.
And so to have him do that, and then just there's things called workflows and funnels that are involved in the back end. And he's, learning all of that system so that he can set those up for me. And again, those are things that technically I could do, but it's going to take me a long time to do it. So, yeah. So for me, it's all about letting go.
And buying back your time.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Buying it
which
back.
is very valuable to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think we'll be
okay,
talking
well,
about that.
so we're probably going to take a quick pause for commercial break here, sponsored by Vault Title, but come back shortly for more Real Talk, Real Women.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the AMP podcast. We want to give a quick shout out to one of our great sponsors at Safe Pro Home Warranty. Diana and Clayton have got you covered. If you move into your house within the first year and something goes wrong, like your hot water tank, your air conditioner, or your furnace, they are going to help you cover the cost of that so you don't have to do the whole thing out of pocket. So reach out to Diana and Clayton today to get your coverage set up at Safe Pro Home Warranty. Thanks for watching.
All right. So now we're going to jump into the Juggle is Real. And this part is sponsored by Safe Pro Home Warranty. And why don't we start with you, Gina? Because every time I talk to you, Gina, like, you seem to have a house full of people.
I do. I have a lot of grandchildren, and my husband and I help take care of these grandchildren while their parents work 2 days a week. So those days are pretty much off the table for me as far as doing real estate. And I was thinking about this topic of this segment is balancing. And honestly, I don't balance. What I do is I bounce. I bounce.
Love it.
Well, okay. So you had a brokerage before and
Yes.
you decided, to come into Red One. And part of that was that part of trying to not juggle as much?
Well, that was more a stress level situation because when you're a principal broker, you are legally and financially responsible for the people who are in your brokerage. So if you have 20 people in your brokerage or 1,000 like Red One does, or tens of thousands like some of these big companies, they have those people at the top have legal and financial responsibility. So if one of their agents makes a mistake, they could end up in court. If somebody obviously does something unethical, then the fallback is on them.
Just like you talked about last night in your
Just-
training on compliance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And financially, as the brokerage, our brokerage provides so many things for us. There's electronic signature programs, there's websites, there's so much. There's training for one thing. There's so much that a brokerage is responsible to provide. It's a lot of responsibility. And I'm not young anymore. And I decided it just was not the best for me personally to continue to have that much responsibility. So when I joined Red One, they took the legal and financial responsibility off of my plate. Most of my agents came with me that were a part of my brokerage before. And so it worked out good. I can still focus on helping agents, helping clients, and not have those burdens anymore. So, I would recommend that to anybody.
Well, and what I love is that we have your knowledge
Absolutely.
in AMP and helping all of our agents. And compliance is so important.
It is.
So love that. One of the other things that you recently mentioned, or you have some buckets on your desk.
I do have buckets on my desk. So I'm constantly on the lookout for a way to organize my life. I have major things in my life. I have my grandkids. I have real estate, my own transactions, of course. I have AMP, which is a huge thing that, responsibility. I run a nonprofit where we feed over 400 kids every single weekend in Pickaway in Fairfield County. We send home a weekend bag of food. So I'm running a volunteer organization of about 70 volunteers. We spend about $10,000 a month on food, and then we pack it up into bags to send home with the kids. I'm working with 6 different schools. So it's a huge thing. It's like, it could be a full-time job. So that's in one bucket, and then my son owns an Airbnb and wedding venue called Genesis Grove down in the Hocking Hills. And he is always needing a little extra help with that. Your kids, you be there for them, right? So I have the Genesis Grove bucket. I have my blessings in a backpack bucket. I have my real estate bucket. I have my AMP bucket, and I have my family bucket. And so I literally got these clear buckets from Dollar General, and I put them on my desk, and I throw all the paperwork. I'm a bad note taker. I take notes. I write things down. Write this down so I don't forget it. Well, then I have a pile of notes on my desk, and they're just a mess. And about once a week, I'm like, gather all the notes up, put them in a pile, and start sorting through. Well, now I have buckets for my
love
notes.
that idea.
Yeah. And so if it's a blessings note of something I have to do for blessings in a backpack, I put it in that bucket and I don't think about it till it's time for that bucket. And then my goal, and I'm just starting this, is to have like a day for each bucket. So like Monday's probably going to be, Wednesday's probably going to be my AMP bucket. Monday will probably be my blessings in a backpack bucket. I'm still formulating this. Can you tell? Fridays is probably going to be my Genesis Grove and my catch-up bucket. And then, of course, Tuesdays and Thursdays are my family and grandchild bucket. So a physical bucket. And then on the front of each bucket, I have a little sticky thing like a Velcro tab where I have a note. This is what are the next 3 things that need to be done from this bucket. And then as I just sit down on my desk, I can immediately see the top 12 things that need to be done. And I'm like, okay, that's what I need to work on today.
I love that.
So
I think Maleeka needs buckets.
I actually have
buckets.
doing like a doing and done board in my
Okay.
office, but I'm not in my office very often.
Yeah.
As soon as I get back to it, I will be using my board again. And it's very helpful, at least, to see it
Yes.
up and posted in a space that you're always in.
Yeah. And I have a board like that, a calendar board for my closing. So I do a lot of work with investors, and like I have 11 listings right now. And I have 3 or 4 of them are in contract. So I have a calendar and I have a color coded magnetic. It's a whiteboard calendar that's magnetic. I have color coded magnetic little things, and I put like closing for this date, inspection for this date, and it's on my calendar on the wall. So when I walk in, that's my real estate business right now. I can see when I need to close this, when the inspection's due, when to follow up with earnest money. So I have a huge calendar. So I'm just talking a lot, but you guys can go on. I bounce. I bounce from bucket to bucket. Yeah.
All right. Maleeka, what's working with you for as far as juggling? Because again, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what all you juggle?
Absolutely. So I am married with 4 daughters. One is away at school, and then we have a 13-year-old that plays club soccer. So that keeps us busy. Our 8 or 9-year-old did not want to play soccer this year. So that kind of helps our schedule. And then we also have a 2-year-old who's very active. And then my husband and I own a renovation company. So we renovate houses for investors as well as residential clients. And that keeps us very busy as well. And then I do traditional real estate. So I have buyer, seller clients as well as investor clients. So I am working on balancing, but I keep my schedule for sure on my calendar so that I'm able to make it to my kids' games and their school events. I volunteer on the 9-year-old's elementary school PTO on the executive board. So I have to keep a calendar. If it's not in the calendar, I will forget it. And then I mix in all of the other things during the day. So
have you tried one of those digital calendars that light up that you see on like TikTok and all the social media?
Yeah, I'm hanging in the kitchen.
We have not. I'm interested, but I'm like, well, will my kids care? Will my husband look at it? Because if they don't, then my phone is fine for me. But I have looked at it. It is very
multiple phones, if I recall.
Yes, I have a personal phone and a business phone. Try to separate. It doesn't work. I carry both of them all the time, and I use both of them from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 p.m. So I'm always on a phone, but I do feel like I am able to still support my kids and go to their events. That family comes first. So
absolutely,
we always do that, and I do try to schedule things around.
That's all about calendar blocking and keeping it organized too.
Yeah.
If it's not on your calendar, it's not happening.
Most likely not.
Same. I actually keep a
written calendar.
What about you, Dana?
Yeah. So my big thing is I'm a handwritten calendar person too. I do have a digital calendar, obviously, like my Google Calendar, but I still have the old school calendar desktop that I write things on. I know I'm reinventing the wheel. I do it twice. I have to have it in 2 different places. Because if I don't have it written down, and maybe I should invest in one of those digital calendars, because it's keeping, because we have to make sure that, myself and Rich, we have our calendars are not really in sync, but we know what's happening for the week. If we don't, there's going to be scheduling conflicts. And we don't want to avoid any family conflicts if he's got something planned and didn't tell me or vice versa. So again, it is all about balancing, the commitments to your calendar and making sure, I don't know, I just like to do like a Sunday reset and make sure for the week coming up that things are organized. I do cover the Dayton market as well. So I'm in Dayton every week. So I have to make sure I share with him, like, okay, I'm going to Dayton these 2 days and this is what's happening. So if you don't, keep it organized, it just kind of all falls apart. And then just kind of like, I have to force myself, which I think I wish Maleeka would do, is force yourself to be selfish and self-care. Because it will catch up to you. I mean, yes, again, you're
a little younger.
You're a lot younger than the other 3 of us here. But if you don't start to become a little bit selfish and give yourself self-care, it's going to catch up to you. And then you're going to start, because you're going to neglect your own well-being, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and that just spirals in. So I had to start doing that, take time for myself, whether it's like just taking a walk and exercising. I love baking. I know some of you have had my cookies. I put crumble cookie to shame, but and baking. So I love to bake. And then of course, who doesn't love retail therapy? We all love retail therapy. Even if it's just Dollar General. Even if it's just walking through the stores, retail therapy. So you really have to take care of yourself. And just that's what I have to do. That's how I juggle.
2026 goal.
I love it.
I'll commit to that for
I
taking
love
care
it.
of
I
yourself.
love it. Taking care of yourself. I love it.
And you know who's going to hold you accountable?
You ladies.
All three of us. Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. So I think we're gonna
Oh, Sheila.
yeah.
Sheila's got to tell us how she balanced.
I
Yes.
balanced.
She's the queen of balance.
I really try. So like Dana, I do the Sunday evening where I sit down, I look at my calendar, and my husband has the attention span, well, maybe the memory of like a mouse or something. I don't know what the cliche is. So I tell him, I'm like, okay, so here's the times where I'm going to be gone for a big block of time. You got to manage the dogs because, you know, that's it in our house now. Or, you know, these evenings I'm going to be out. And of course, you know, we're all realtors. Life changes. Like that's the plan. And then, yeah, exactly. So then, kind of the same thing. I think about, well, what are the priorities for the week? What do I really need to get done? And, you know, so that's like Sunday evening, that's top of mind. And then each day I give myself one thing that I want to accomplish for my business and one thing that I want to accomplish for myself or my family. And then from there, I also focus on what was the win from the day before because we don't do enough of that. And so celebrating the win, doing that every morning,
love that.
the two things you have to, you know, I have to get done. And then the rest, if I get it done, that's nice. And if I don't get done, what was my priority? No guilt, no shame, no blame. Just
Mhm.
put it on the list for tomorrow. Or sometimes I find out that it really wasn't the
Didn't really
priority.
need to do it.
Wasn't that
Yeah.
important?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
Oh, wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that idea. So
Yeah. We
great.
all have to celebrate.
Mhm, for sure. Well, I think we're going to just roll right into segment 3. So this next segment is going to be one of my favorites, actually. This is sponsored by Vault Title, and this is called Breaking the Barriers and Building Safety. So I guess I'll go first on
Yeah.
this one
Yeah,
because
you're the one
I have
that's
a little bit of a list. So, you know, breaking the barriers, that's a good topic. Since this is about real talk, real women, we're going to talk about women in the dynamics of like the industry with men. So, you know, in the past, and this is like facts here, in the past, you know, this industry was dominated by men. Well, now it's like 2/3 are women. So, and I think that speaks volumes saying that women can build their own businesses and not have to rely on men. And this is not going to be a men bashing session. Okay. And we got Steve over here on the camera here. He's going to keep us honest as he's shaking his head over there. But now it just shows that women are now dominating the real estate industry. And that speaks volume because we are not only running a business, but we're running a household. And I'm going to just like say this because Mark's not here, but you know, Mark's always like, oh, can you guys do this? Can you guys do that? And well, yeah, we can do that, but we're also running households where men typically, if they're married and been married for a long time, they have a wife or a partner that's actually taking care of the household stuff, the cleaning, the laundry, the grocery shopping. But we're actually balancing all of it. And I think that speaks value. And I think because of this industry shift, you know, before it was all about just hard selling. It's not about that anymore.
It's not.
What it's about is more about relationships, you know, being authentic and trust, where in those 3 categories, women excel.
Yes.
Being authentic and relationships. Women always excel with that. So I think that's also, you know, helping us build this real estate industry for women. And then the last thing I'll talk about is how, you know, women agents are more empathetic. We're more adaptable because men don't like change at all. And we like to we can multitask. We're often, again, this is not about a men bashing session, but we can definitely multitask multiple things. You're juggling children, sports, schoolwork, grandchildren, household with animals.
And a husband.
And a husband. Let's just leave that out there.
Yeah, we have to
And I
juggle
think I
them.
look at these as like superpowers because this is a win for us because that will in turn win a client for loyalty and longevity because they see that we can balance a lot. You're taking calls, Maleeka, late at night because your clients know that you're available late at night. So they trust you. They know that. And I think they know you're dependable. So I think that is going to be the, you know, the structure for longevity for clients and referrals, long-time referrals. So.
Yeah. The one thing that I would add to that, though, is that there are a lot of side industries that impact us that are still male dominated. And so I think for us, it's how do we, when we come up against, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a male, but when we come up against that really strong personality that is not necessarily looking for the win-win, that can sometimes be challenging. But I think for us, it's always having to come back and, reset the conversation at times. We have to do that sometimes. And a great example is, so last night, my husband has really delayed upgrading to Windows 11 or whatever it is. And the only reason he's doing that is because it's not going to be supported, the version he's on. So he says to me last night, he's like, it's so screwed up. And I said, well, how about we change our mindset and say it's just different? And let's talk about what's different. And so I think, when we run into those difficult situations, women tend to have a tendency to approach it in a different way and can oftentimes get to a win-win when we're in a situation where the other person might not want to be there. And that's not the case with my husband. It was just something that was fresh in mind. So, So what about you, Gina?
Well, when I was looking at this category and what I wanted to talk about, I actually had a meeting with Jaden, a new AMP agent, yesterday. And I don't know how we got on it, but we got talking about emotional investment. And one thing that I've seen that a lot of newer agents, actually every agent, and especially the women, struggle with is being too emotionally invested in your clients. Not, I didn't say in your client's transaction or in your client's best interests or in your client's real estate situation. It's being too emotionally invested in your clients themselves. And I feel like as women, especially, we can get really, really emotionally involved. Oh, I feel so bad for that person. I really feel like what they're going through. And I've had so many agents call me, some AMP agents, some agents from my own team, or when I was a broker from the past, they would call me and they would just spill this big old story about the people they were involved with and in this transaction. And the agent's mind had become clouded with the emotions of the situation or the drama of the situation. And I found myself saying, okay, step back a little bit, disconnect emotionally from the situation. You actually know the next move. And they're like, I just don't know what to do. Well, you do know what to do, but your mind is being clouded by the emotions and the drama of the situation. And so I would say, as women especially, and applies to some men for sure, don't let yourself become as empathetic as you are sympathetic. So think about the difference between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is we feel it for someone else. Empathy is we feel it with someone else. And if you are feeling those same emotions as your client is feeling, you cannot be objective and you cannot really look out for their best interest because you're clouded.
That's a good point.
So that's probably the thing that I have seen is something that we need to build safety around our own emotions because, man, is that draining when, we have enough of our own life. Look at how we're talking about our own emotions, our own dramas, our own family relationships to deal with. We have enough of our own. We cannot take on all that drama and emotion from other people that we're working with over a period of months because you will get completely drained. There will be nothing left of you.
Yeah. You said a word that I want to circle back to. You used the word safety. And I think as women, we have a different concern about safety than most of our male peers do. And so one of the things that I always tell, agents is, if you're getting the heebie-jeebies, take someone with you.
Follow your gut.
Just
Follow your gut.
cancel. Send it off to someone else, another, male agent, for example.
Yeah. And I don't know how many of our agents know, but we have Forewarn available to us for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really like the one time that I didn't use it, I went back and I thought, why didn't I use it? And I have to tell you, I would not have gone on that showing. So, everyone, male or female, use it. So what about you, Maleeka?
I would say standing firm in my knowledge. So because we own a renovation company, most people assume that my husband's the general contractor. And I have to set the record straight. And I'm like, well, yes, it's our company together, but it's mostly me.
Hammer.
Yeah. Yes, I'm tiling and I'm, framing things, and I'm the one who pulls permits and, meet with inspectors, structural engineers. That's my part of how I help our business. My husband is very hands-on, but I'm more of like the overseer of all of our projects.
yeah.
Yes. So a lot of times the men will question me, and I have to prove that I know about
That's
construction
a good point.
and know what I'm talking about. Now, if it comes down to plumbing, that's not my skill set at all. And I'll definitely make sure my husband meets with the plumber so that they don't try to overquote us or tell me something different. So I know where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are. So I feel like that's also setting boundaries and just knowing myself well enough.
I think that, if I was in your position, I would come out the gate when I meet with these people like strong, like, this is my business, this is my knowledge,
sure.
and let's, just pat yourself on the back. I mean,
I do try to
That's
explain
good.
to them that I'm the one who's on site. I'm the one who is running our renovation projects. My husband has a separate business as well, so he focuses on bathroom remodeling for, people that are living in their homes. Most of the homes that we work on to renovate, people are not living in, but we do kitchen renovations or bathroom renovations for
I
standard.
see a reality TV
clients.
show in your future.
Wow.
I don't know. We do have a videographer, so he does capture a lot of the cool things that we are doing and the before and afters, but that's about as good as we're getting with that. And then I will say safety. So I work with a lot of investors, so I go into a lot of houses by myself, and depending on the area, I will ask my husband to come with me and walk it with me. Or if it's meeting a new client, I do use forewarn, or I make sure that they enter the house first. If we're going into basements or upstairs or downstairs, I always let them go first, and I just, direct them and guide them so that I'm in a good position to be able to safely escape if something were to happen. But I do keep that in mind. When I first started, I always brought someone with me, and they just sat in the car.
And if you're a new agent listening to this, and especially a female agent, if you are concerned, ask someone else to come with you. Ask one of us, ask, one of our, male agents to go with you. Do not hesitate to ask someone to go with you. So,
And the other thing you can do is have that initial meeting in a public place. So, like if it's a new buyer, don't necessarily take them to the house right out of the gate. Go sit down at Panera or Starbucks and go through like a list of things they need to know. Get to know them.
How about the buyer broker agreement?
The buyer broker agreement has to be signed before you can go anyway, and the consumer guide should be. So meet with them, go over the process, get those documents signed in a public place where you're not going to be in danger before you ever meet them alone at a house.
Yeah. And to your point, Maleeka, like I had one client where I'm like, I'm not going in the basement and I'm not going upstairs with you. Like, and he basically ended up giving me a bad review on Zillow, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Like my safety is not worth a 5-star on Zillow because there was just something that was off.
I think if you set the expectations, I mean, I've gone to a listing appointment with a new agent who asked me to go along with her. It's her first listing appointment. And when I do that, I don't like to come across to the customer or that, that she's new, that she's new, because I don't want them to be like, oh, she's new. We make that approach like we're a team and we travel together in the event that, one of us is not available. Yes, this is primarily her listing, but I'm available too. So we set that expectation ahead of time. And we also, I presented, like I introduced myself, she introduced herself, and I said, we kind of travel as a team, not only, for support, but also for safety. And I throw that word out there because she had never met this potential client before. We had no idea what we were going into. So we set that stage ahead of time. So that's where, you got to break that barrier and set that expectation that you're not going to see someone here by themselves. So,
And there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely. Agree.
Not at all.
No way. It only takes one bad situation.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
You got to be careful.
All right. Well, let's move into Confidence is Currency. And this is sponsored by Covita Lending.
All right. Oh, I guess I'll go again.
Maleeka already kind of started talking about it, because in dealing with contractors, which are primarily men, she has to exude confidence walking in the
every
door
day.
all the day. So why don't you start us off, Maleeka?
I will say I do ask the people that work for us questions. I like to hear their ideas. We exchange ideas so that I'm able to learn from them. They're able to learn from me. I don't ever want to set the tone, at least with the people that work for us, that I know everything, because I definitely don't. So we have a very great relationship, and it is a good working space for us. But when it comes to like new clients or investors, and even buyers or sellers, I do let them know that I'm like a licensed general contractor. I explain to them, hey, while you're upstairs, I'm going to go look at your hot water tank, your furnace, your AC unit, and your electrical panels so I can see the dates of those. And I try to add value that way so that that builds trust as well. And then by the time they're done looking upstairs, I meet them on the first floor or back in the living room, and I'm able to say, this is the age of all of these units. This is how long their useful life is and how long they'll last. It looks old, but it's still in good condition. You can feel the AC or the heat still running. So you may not have to replace it right away, but just something to think about. So I do try to also add value, as well as let them know that I do know what I'm talking about and what I'm doing, and add value.
Yeah. One of the things I like to do as well is to call the agent before, like if I'm working with the buyers, to call the agent and just see if there's any information that they would like to share with me. And many times you can find some great information. And then when you meet with a buyer, you can say, well, okay, well, I know that they're looking, even though, I'm not sure that the seller's agent had it to disclose, but they're looking to sell because they want to be closer to their parents or whatever it may be. So that's an easy thing, like just a quick call. And, there's some people that do not like to get on the phone and call people, but it's worth it. And then, like you said, immediately going in once you see the house into that providing value. For me, since I'm one of the newer agents, when I was just starting, it was really about the team. So I joined AMP before I really did anything. And so to be able to say, I have a team around me. So Dana and I worked very closely together. And of course, with Mark, and Justin a little bit, to be able to say, well, I've got these resources to help me. And for me, it was always not saying something that I didn't know.
Right.
Readily saying, I don't know, but I will look into that and I will get back to you, and then following up.
Yeah. Let me find out.
Yeah.
Let me find out.
Yeah.
Because, not you can't know everything
Exactly.
about every single house that's out there on the market that you've never walked in before.
Exactly.
But I think the key is educating yourself, whether it be about a particular house or finding out what you can about a client, before you go, like look on Facebook and say, oh, do they have kids? Are they in sports? Are they, what are they into? What do they like? Do they the motorcycle? Yeah. Facebook creeping just a little bit. So you can get to know that person. And if you immediately walk in the door and say, oh man, I see your kids play soccer. My kids play soccer too, and isn't it hard? Making that initial connection and building the trust and the confidence. And then, there's this old saying, you fake it till you make it. But it's really not faking it. If you've taken time to educate yourself about all these things, about maybe a situation, there's so much education available today. Even if you're on the way to the appointment and you don't know anything about a boiler system in a house, and you saw on the MLS that this place has a boiler system and you know nothing, go talk to ChatGPT for a little bit. Just I get down the hall and just talk down the road and just talk to ChatGPT like it's a friend, and it'll spit. That's where I got the bucket idea, honestly. Just telling ChatGPT my woes about keeping my life organized, and they said, "Here's a great idea for you," and I'm liking it, And so talk to ChatGPT and get information about a boiler system before you walk in there. You're already going to know.
Yes.
So educate yourself. If you're going to be doing a buyer's consultation, go on Circle, the AMP platform, and look up every thing we've ever said or done about a buyer's consultation. There's multiple things in the AMP recording archives for you to educate yourself. before you go there.
So much.
So educate yourself, and you won't really be faking it. But then, like Sheila said, be willing to admit when you don't have all the answers. I'll find out. And you can text the AMP leaders. You can jump on Circle from your phone and ask a question and probably get an answer. You can even go on the chat bot and ask a question while you're at a showing and probably get an answer, and make yourself look like the expert because you have this big group supporting you.
Yep.
I mean, we are talking about real talk, real women. So I'll put a spin on that comment. Like, that's where I also feel that women have a little bit of an upper hand when it comes to stuff like this because we prepare ourselves. We do the work, we check things out, we call the listing agent, we chat GPT boiler stuff, where often men just go with the flow and then they kind of sometimes fumble. So that helps us dominate the market just a little bit better.
That's a good point. It's just our natural proclivity to prepare.
Yes.
Because we have to prepare for everything in our lives.
Yep.
And I think too, like, dressing the part is one of my ways that I like to show confidence is dressing the part. And there's two ways to look at this. A good example here is like Maleeka, how you were saying earlier, how sometimes you have challenges with, people thinking because you're female, you don't know about general contracting stuff. Well, if you show up, you got a hard hat on, you got a tool belt on, you have power tools in your hand, you got work boots in, you're covered in drywall.
All the
Which
time.
is her normal state.
You're dressing the part.
Yeah,
Now,
she is.
if that was someone like me walking into a construction site and there's you standing there in your getup and me standing there in my dress clothes, they're going to go to you because you've dressed the part. So you're showing your confidence that you do know what you're talking about, but you also know how to switch it up to where now it's time to go show a client showings. And I'm a little bit extra. I like to dress up anywhere I go. I mean, if I could wear like a tulle skirt and like a hat every day, like I'm going to the Kentucky Derby, I would do that, but that would look a little bit weird.
And I'm the exact opposite.
But I think too, for me, that just makes me feel more confident. And it makes me feel like, I know we've had this discussion where we've taken clients to like an open house and we're like, where's the agent? Well, they're curled up in the couch with their feet in the couch with no shoes on their phone. And we're like, who's the agent who's representing this open house?
Sad.
And that's sad. Nothing wrong with wearing jeans or dressing casual or wearing like a branded t-shirt, but show your confidence and show that you are the one in charge in this situation, whether you're in a hard hat, tool belt, contractor status, or helping work with investors, or you're in a rural community with your they're called wellies. They're called wellies in the UK, just so you know. If you have your wellies on and your rain jacket on because you're out in the field looking at property, looking at communities, just dress the part. That's how I feel like I like to be.
I think another way to exude confidence is just to introduce yourself to people and, hold out your hand to shake their hand, and do that from the outset. You're meeting somebody. Don't play the mousy part,
Contact.
Make eye contact.
They don't know that you're new.
They don't know that you're new. My dad always taught me to shake hands with strength, and look people in the eye. And I try to do that when I meet someone new. And I think that initially sets them at ease because they know you're going to take care of monitoring this situation.
Yeah. And for me, one of the things I need to work on or constantly work on is ending a sentence that sounds like a question when I'm uncomfortable. So,
like you just did? You just did it. You did it.
I wasn't meaning to. That's a sad thing.
But you did.
But it is really that comes into play because it's like I'm trying to think. Well, the AC unit is new. Well, is it? Or the AC
be good for a few more years versus this will probably be good for a few more years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in the same words, but two very different meanings.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I will say, transitioning, I do try to keep change of clothes in my car. I have lots of shoes in my car. My husband hates it.
You need buckets in your car.
Yes, keep buckets in my car. But I also I'm dressed like this. I will go to our construction sites in dress clothes and they'll know that I've had meetings or that I'm going to a meeting. But I've also just changed and make sure that I'm presentable when I'm going to meet a client, even if I've been on a work site all day, or I'll fit it in the schedule to go back home and change, but definitely because I know my schedule mostly for the day, but sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
So I have had to apologize because wasn't prepared to, go show a house today. And that wasn't my plan.
But you apologize with confidence.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You're not like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And I tell them why. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's working.
Yes.
I'll go do all the things, go in the basement. You don't want to do that. But
Right.
yes.
Awesome. All right.
Well, great. Well, I think we're going to take a quick commercial break. And this commercial break is sponsored by Covita Lending.
Quick shout out to our lender, Covita Lending. Guys, in today's marketplace, there are many lending options. So why choose Covita? At Covita, they ease the burden of financing by offering a worry-free transaction from pre-approval to close, keeping you educated, updated, and in the know every step of the way. That's Covita Lending's pledge to you. Reach them at 740-255-6220 or email steve@covitalending.com.
All right, welcome back. We're into segment 5, sponsored by Red One Realty, and this is about Mindset Matters. So, Sheila, let's start with you.
Okay. Wonderful. So, mindset matters. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about rejection because I have something that hurt a little bit that happened just recently. So, I live in a very close community. Know all of the neighbors. Well, one of my neighbors recently listed their home and they didn't even interview me. And so naturally, I was really devastated by that. And they didn't tell me. So that was a double whammy. Like,
Saw the sign out there.
I think you
Well,
read my
it's
notes. Wait till you hear my
Well,
segment. I think you
okay.
read my notes. Go
well,
ahead.
she announced it in the neighborhood group text. And I want you guys all to know before you see the sign in the yard. And that really hurt. Now, mind you, I was also away for a celebration of life, which didn't help. I was not necessarily in the right mindset. So I really had to work on it but my husband finally said, you know what? They are really good people. You need to let this go. And it's true. They are wonderful people. And I do truly hope the very best for them. But sometimes there's reasons why. So their agent, they have been friends with for a very long time, so I get it. Like that stuff happens. And I've also been on the flip side where I received the transaction when they had, an agent, a client of mine had an agent that they were friends with for a very long time. And sometimes it's because they don't want you to know the particulars of their financials, their life, or, they just have a closer connection. But at the end of the day, we're all just people. And, you can't let that fester because it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do them any good. And I really do truly wish the best for them. But boy, I really had to work on mindset for a while and, just put the positivity out there because,
it's definitely difficult. I think I read a stat that said the average person in America knows 6 real estate agents.
It sounds about right.
So that's what we're competing against.
Exactly. And sometimes the relationship's just better with
They're
the
just
other person.
or if you got to think about what if that person is their nephew or something.
Right.
It's a relationship that if they did not use that person, it'd be a bigger deal in their life
Right.
than if they did not use
Exactly.
you. So there's also that to consider.
And it's not a reflection on me or my skill
No.
set.
Exactly.
Not at all.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
I think you were reading my notes because like my mindset reset, because this has happened to me multiple times. I've had multiple family members or friends pick another agent. And so my segment is talking about resetting my mind when a family member or friend doesn't pick me.
Yes.
And I've had to learn to respect their choice and move on.
Exactly.
And sometimes I have to tell myself, maybe this was a blessing.
True.
Yes.
Is this due to personality conflicts, family dynamics?
Mhm.
You literally never know.
You don't.
So I feel like I've had to tell myself, don't let it dim my light.
There you go.
This is also proof that the juggle is real. Like the juggle in this industry is real because these are real life things that happen.
Mhm.
And I have to tell myself to keep showing up with confidence and consistency, wish them the best.
Yes.
Because ultimately it's it happened.
It
I mean, it's happened to me multiple times, closest as my sister-in-law, and I'm like, what? But and I've also had it happen to me too, where a friend picked somebody else because they were embarrassed about some of their financial issues that they didn't want me to see. But I don't judge, but they don't know that. They just still
Right.
feel uncomfortable in
Yeah.
the situations. And I just had to learn to just let it go.
Yep.
So I'm on the same page that you are.
I
Just
think we've all had.
just let it go.
I've had it
Mhm.
multiple
So like
times
to
as
new
well.
agents, like it's going to happen to you. So
Mhm.
just
It is
brush
going
it
to
off,
happen.
let it go. And something else better always comes out of it. Like shortly after I had a family member pick another agent, I was steaming over it. And then a client came out of nowhere. That was a better situation for me. And so really it was a win-win for me because it could have been a more complicated situation.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, working with people that you already know, they can have a little higher expectations.
That is very
And
true.
it can be way more draining on you because, like I talked about the emotional connection, well, you've already got one
Mhm.
with these people. So when you become deeply involved in their personal situation of somebody that you already had an emotional connection with, it can really zap you. So you have to be careful about that.
I'll say when I get overwhelmed, which happens at least once a week, because there's so much always going on, so many people, whether they're employees, contractors, children, husband, my own personal real estate business. I usually will just write everything down
Mhm.
for every item of life, and then I share it with my husband, and I do a brain dump on my phone and my notes, and then I go talk to him. I get it out verbally, and then I feel like my mindset is better.
Mm.
I've reset,
Mhm.
and I now have this list, not buckets, could put them in buckets, but they're buckets on my phone. And we're just able to tackle it as a team,
Mhm.
whether
It's awesome.
and that just helps a lot. Sometimes I make him list too and share them with him. So I'm like, I need you to do these things at these projects or, for home,
Mhm.
for with
Yeah.
a dog. Because that just it works out better for me, maybe not for him, but it at least gives him a list to help me out.
Yeah.
So he's not guessing.
And I mean, I know that we're probably talking to a lot of women who do not have a supportive system like that, but I'm thankful that I do. And I know that all of you guys have supportive spouses or partners who make it possible for you to do all the things that you
Oh, yeah.
do.
My mom, she's really great. She came down this weekend so I could host an open house, and I did showings on Saturday. My husband worked, and then I got to come back home and help and well, not help because those are my kids. But,
The house was clean and dinner
Yeah.
was ready and mom was in charge.
she did help. She did take the kids and made sure they were fed. So it is lovely. It is nice to have a support system, but I would say it wasn't always that way. We moved here 5 years ago, and all of our family and friends, most of them are still in Cleveland where we
Mhm.
moved from. So it was a huge adjustment to
Yeah.
figure out how to balance and
Mhm.
maintain without
Mhm.
having our support system, our normal support system. But my mom does come down to help, which is great.
Right. I guess my motivational piece for today is that it's really all about the people. I mean, I know I said you have to be emotionally detached. However, it still is about the people because at the end of your life, you're not going to look back and say, "Oh, I'm so glad I sold 72 houses that one year. That was awesome. I made a lot
I would
of
love to
money."
sell 72 houses in 1 year.
Whatever it was, you're not going to care about that stuff. What you're going to care about is those relationships that you built with people
Mhm.
along the way.
Mhm.
And I've met some people in real estate who are still dear friends to the day, even though it was years ago that I transacted a real estate deal with them. And some, of course, have come back repeatedly. But even if that was the only real estate transaction, sometimes you just really connect with people who enrich your life in other ways. And I just feel like, in the bog of all the things that we have and that we're juggling and that we're trying to handle and bounce from thing to thing and emotional connections and safety and all of that, the most rewarding part about being a real estate agent is the relationships that we develop with people that can enrich our lives in so many
100%.
ways.
Mhm.
So,
Yes. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining and listening to this session of our podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on all your favorite podcast libraries. And take a moment to drop it by our website, Agent maybe yeah, there we go.
Mentorship platform.
.com for more information. And notice I didn't end with a high note, so more information.
And thanks again to our sponsors, Vault Title, Covita Lending, and Safe Pro.